Hey everybody, Dave Willenborg, another episode of the THD Podcast coming to you where I am at in Hong Kong. A little bit of a gloomy day over my shoulder today. But with us as always, our guest from Japan, our co-host, Simon Weston in Sendai, Japan, our audio expert, and a very special guest coming all the way from the San Jose region in California, the VP of Sales for Linkplay, is it? Steve Willenborg?
Yes, it is.
All right, Steve. Well, yeah, thanks very much for joining us today. And the topic today is kind of one of the biggest things going in audio right now, driving a lot of device sales, is they're not talking to themselves, they're talking to a little speaker unit or an IoT device. And Linkplay is kind of one of the leaders in supplying most of the modules and core technology for these products. So please, Steve, introduce yourself, and we'd like to hear more about Linkplay.
Sure. My name again is Steve Willenborg. I'm the Vice President of Sales for Linkplay Technologies. We are located in Newark, California, and we're a B2B turnkey solutions provider. As Dave said, we develop firmware, software, hardware for modules to enable voice and voice technology in variety of different products. Not only are we on smart speakers, but one of the big growth areas that we're seeing is in the home. Voice is ubiquitous. It's not going to go away, and it's going to continue to develop in a variety of different products that no one could have seen a few years ago. So, from a Linkplay go ahead.
Yeah, just so like IoT devices is in the home, like a smoke detector, a thermostat, a doorbell camera, all these kind of things we're adding voice to.
A toilet, mirrors, switch plates. Yes, there are a lot out there. Home appliance devices.
Right.
Think about it, microwaves, appliances. So you really, the voice technology is just at its infancy, and I see it to continue to grow and grow. It's not just going to be about smart speakers. I think that fad, if you will, has passed us a little bit, and it's going to be morphing into more, as you say, IoT devices.
Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, so you can imagine talking to your refrigerator, your microwave, and I think I've seen some demos on these type of products. So yeah, maybe let's back up things a bit and let you run on a more deeper introduction to Linkplay, please.
Sure. Linkplay is a B2B turnkey solutions provider. We work with a variety of different companies throughout the world, large scale, small scale. What we try to do is develop a portfolio of support for companies. Whether it's in secure device cloud, doing OTA activity, certification, content providers. We touch the product from the inception of the product all the way through the end of production. We provide the tools to be able to bring these products in very, very quickly. And with our modules, what we're able to do is employ technologies and then certify them to all of the world's voice products or voice services, anywhere from Google to Amazon, Alexa, to Tencent, to Yandex, to Baidu, et cetera, et cetera. So we take the technology that's out there and morph it into products that can be moved into finished goods that can be brought into the market as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Can I just ask Steve, because I just wanted to get a bit of a baseline there. So what the technology actually doing is you're using your voice to issue commands. You're replacing button presses, essentially. Is it? What's the scope of it?
Yeah, any type of functionality is what's going to be replaced with voice. And so whether it's reactive to a device, or we're also doing some proactive products with customers where you can set up a product to be proactive with an end consumer. So that the device will tell a consumer what to do, and that's very big in the medical field, in that particular market segment, because grandma doesn't want to speak to Alexa, but grandma needs to know when she needs to have her medication taken.
Wow.
So that proactive voice is something that is very, very interesting in certain markets.
That's actually quite interesting. I've had some discussions with some senior mobile phone companies to add voice to edge devices. And one of their criticisms is that you couldn't capture what the elderly person wanted to say accurately, maybe because of dialect or accents, and then the user would get frustrated. So you're saying this is actually going the other way to tell them what to do, more or less.
Yeah, exactly. You have a caregiver that is responsible for that individual, so they know what to do, when to do it, and it's proactive with that person. And then it gets the older person involved. It's more of a dialogue versus, them having to enable the device. The device enables them, and they have that dialogue.
Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, wow, I didn't think of that off the top, so
Yeah.
thank you.
And then one of the other things, Dave, that you touched on is some of the service providers. We're working with some of the large-scale service providers to enable local hotspot Wi-Fi service into devices. So you don't necessarily need to have a Wi-Fi subsystem within a building. A lot of people, especially in these large healthcare homes, the Wi-Fi is pretty spotty, outside of a few areas. So we're looking at devices that will enable LTE into these various products that can be both proactive and reactive.
Okay, very cool.
So someone issues a voice command that actually takes that audio and sends it off to a web server to interpret.
Correct. And
is that always the case?
No, it's not always the case, but there's so many different configurations. It just depends on the applications.
Okay, yeah, maybe there's some slide or something where we can kind of illustrate the block diagram of how this process might happen with the mic array pickup and all these kind of things.
Sure. Give me 1 second. All right. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, please. There we go.
So when you look at this particular screen, this is kind of what we do in a snapshot. We obviously have to get involved with all facets of the product, from the OEM to the ODM. And then where we come in is that we kind of are the mixture, if you will, that are able to help develop these products. Through our cloud services, we develop mobile apps, our SOMs, which are really the guts of these products, firmware, and then certification. We work with the OEMs on the industrial design, their product specification, any QA or QC that's specific for their needs. And then we work with about 70 different ODMs in terms of developing tooling, making sure that the PCBA is not only developed properly, but also is tested, inline validation, and then end-of-line validation. We have tests that are run to ensure that they're going to meet the requirements. And then, we do acoustic tuning, mainly in the voice area, not necessarily in the speaker area. And then we work with the ODMs to make sure that the final assembly is, meets the OEM or the brand's needs.
Wow. Very good.
So that's quite a broad scope then, if you're dealing with cloud services as well as firmware and electronic layout.
Correct. And that's the power of what we do as a company, is that we do have these building blocks, and we work with each customer in a unique way. There's customers have obviously engineering staffs that they use. We can augment those staffs, whether we do the whole thing or whether it's just a portion. As I said, from a certification perspective, Linkplay is one of the few companies in the world that can pre-certify for Spotify. Spotify has a long queue,
right.
And so we're one of very close with that organization, and we are capable of doing pre-certification, again, to reduce the time to market for these products.
Yeah, I think as I understood it, a lot of the services might be included with an Alexa package, but Spotify is still independent of the Alexa or maybe Google suite of offerings. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they are definitely a standalone. Their certification process is in parallel to whether it's Google, Tencent, Alibaba, or Alexa.
That's going to be a big demand now that Joe Rogan's gone over to Spotify, I guess.
It'll be interesting. It will definitely be interesting.
Okay, some benefit to Linkplay there.
Yeah. So from a vertical perspective, going back to some of the initial discussions that we have, we're involved with a lot of different verticals, whether it's smart speaker, automotive, which is an area that I think is going to continue to grow. In automotive, there's subcategories within the automotive sector. Think about a motorcycle helmet, with voice. You've got your two hands on your device, on your motorcycle. You can't push to talk. You need to communicate effectively. And so I think that there's, in that automotive sector, there's going to be some nice outgrowth. Hearables, we're just at the onset of, what hearables can do. You've seen some of the products. Bose had, one of their products come out maybe a year or so ago. And I think as people get more and more comfortable with the, speaking to their devices, hearables are going to be another growth area.
Yeah, we just saw, I think Sony launched a pair of headphones with voice command in it recently, so we can.
Yeah.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah, the voice commands, as I say, is not going to go away. From a voice perspective, Linkplay also does dual wake words. We developed a product with Salesforce.com called Einstein. And what happens is when you say, hey, Einstein, it goes into the Einstein clouds. The Salesforce.com cloud pulls out a report from that database and then, gives you your data or information. If you say, hey, Alexa, it goes into the Alexa cloud and does everything that Alexa does. So there's a dual wake word path. We also have some other customers that are going down that path where it's a dual wake word. So it's going to be able to do more than just the Alexa or Google Clouds. It's going to be able to do and communicate with the device of what that brand wants it to do.
Now, speaking of Google and Alexa, I know there's obviously competitive nature there. Is there anything on the horizon that Google and Alexa will allow dual wake words on? I think Alexa will allow Google, but Google won't allow Alexa. Is that correct?
That's my understanding as well. You'll have to ask them. From a technology perspective, it's a doable thing. I mean, the socks that we have, and we've got a variety of different chipsets in these socks. From a technology perspective, it's very, very doable. It's more of a commercial activity between Amazon and Google and the brands. Right. I know the brands are pushing. We work with several of them that that is a feature that they would like to have. And the first one that kind of broke the ice was Sonos. Sonos came out, and you could go down that dual path of whether you want to enable Google or whether you want to enable Alexa.
Well, great.
So with always listening or a wake word rather than a button press trigger, what's the power burden? What's the power consumption burden?
Yeah, that's we have worked with a variety of different companies on that particular topic because, power, if it's always on, you're draining extensively. And with batteries, while they're, very good, they're not that good yet. So there's a lot of technologies from these audio front end companies that we've dealt with that they've got solutions and we're in the prototype stage with a variety of different products to try to minimize that as much as possible. We optimized our firmware and our code to try and get down to a really low level of energy that it puts out. And so I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it is something that we are working on.
So I guess for something like automotive or smart home, that's not really a problem. It's just for, say, headphones and battery-powered speakers.
Anything that's battery-powered, that is absolutely correct. And more and more people do want battery-powered products, because of the ease of use and you can take it anywhere kind of thing. So as I say, battery technology is getting better, as we all know. They are becoming more and more efficient. And from a software and firmware perspective, that's, we have to follow suit and, make sure that the number of MIPS that are being processed is as minimal as possible.
All right, very good. What other categories? Okay, where do you want to go here?
Yeah, so what I was going to do is, you asked about the block diagram, and,
yeah.
I just wanted to put this up for for the audience to see. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into the development of any type of product, especially something that has intelligence. So we make sure that we need to be agnostic with all the technology and agnostic with the suppliers that are out there. The technologists, if you will. If you look at DSP type products, there's a lot of really good companies out there that are doing that, and they all each have their very high value. It just depends upon what the end product wants to be. So the point is that from a Linkplay perspective, we have to be prepared to support any type of, whether it's front end or back end technology that customers are looking for.
Okay. And is there
topic I did want to touch on with you guys is security. That is when we do all of our analysis and look in terms of what prohibits people from bringing products into the market. Security is number one, and it's a significant number one for sure. And so it's something that needs to be addressed. And we operate under the AWS cloud, and we use third-party regression testing, that type of thing. So we try to do as much as possible with regards to the security of the products, because it is really important for not only the brands but for the consumer as well.
Okay.
So there's a variety of different things that can be done that make security a best practice, if you will. And so you go through the various building blocks of the module itself, and make sure that we continue to update it to the latest security best practices.
Now, when we talk about security, we're talking about user data security. What are all the different aspects of people hijacking the information? What are the different things we're worried about here?
Yeah, it's personal information that I think people are the most worried about, and especially with voice products, there's always the concern that somebody's always listening. I know Amazon has done a lot of work and a lot of updates just over the past year in terms of increasing their security. If you go back a slide, I went by it fairly quickly, but the new Amazon requirements, they really do have updated it, so it's best in class, if you will, in terms of their security. So there's secure boot, storage, cryptographic engines, host hardening, threat surface reduction. There's a whole host of things that we have to go through, and Amazon and Google work with us in terms of making sure that we've got the latest and greatest security SDKs.
Okay.
One of the things that these smart devices do that before products never did, and that is obviously they are more relevant each day. They're smart, they're not going to go away. We're all hardware guys, and before when you sold a piece of hardware, you never got it back unless it was broke. With these smart devices, and whether it's a smart switch or smart fan, a smart smoke detector, they all live. And so you continue to have to update to make sure that the products are safe, but then when there's new features that come out, that the customers are getting these new features, whether it's multi-room or whether it's comms. These things can be done, updated. These products can be updated via the over-the-air updates. And so we do this with all of our customers. But another thing that people are really looking into is, how is the product being used? It was designed to do something. And so, we look at, what functions are most used on the product? Learn user behaviors. How long did it take a customer to provision a product, to get it set up? If your product is provisioned and it takes you 20 or 30 minutes, that's probably not a very good user experience. If it takes you just a couple of minutes to get through it, then that's probably going to be a pretty good user experience. So you can understand, what these people are doing with their devices. The other thing is, diagnostics, failure diagnostics. If, something happens, you can diagnose it, and then send an update to that specific product. And so it's really important, as I say, to continually update and improve the user experience of that product. As I said, these products don't die; they're going to continue to live for years and years.
So this this allows the brand or the Linkplay to actually provide a service where there might be some firmware updates that are administered over the air to refresh new services, etc., to the end user of that branded product.
That is correct. And whether it's to add, either a new radio or, content provider, like iHeartRadio or Pandora or, on and on, or it can be done via, a security fix, or like I say, a diagnostic. And diagnostics are very important. All companies are so, they focus a ton on user experience, because it's just so important to make sure that these things are they're easy to use and they're pleasant to use, instead of having it to be painful. And that's where I think that as all these devices in the home and in the car and your office, they're going to get to a point where it's just natural for you to talk like we're talking, and have things pick up and things operate the way that you want it to via voice.
Wow, that's exciting.
So I'm curious about just a couple of different aspects. One is if someone wants to implement that technology, what level of engineering or what level of capability do they need? So you'd have, at a very base level, you have somebody who's a brand holder who just markets and buys products. Are they able to use it, or they need to be at a deeper level of internal engineering?
No, and that's where Linkplay comes in, because we have designed and developed these modules. That's what our expertise is in. We do a lot with Parts Express, and Parts Express, as you guys know, is a huge DIY company, and so they will deal with individuals to bring up products, and we support them. We do trainings with them, we help them, but there's always going to be one or two people that come along, and they need assistance, and we'll guide them in terms of trying to come to some type of a solution for their problem.
Is it the case that some newer Bluetooth chips, let's say Bluetooth providers, they are able to put this kind of capability into their processor? Is there a distinction between a separate module and kind of integrate into an existing processor?
Yeah, I mean, modules have their advantages for a lot of reasons. One being that what you're going to get out of the module, because it's been developed and it's been tested, verified against whatever parameters that you're looking at. The downside to the module is that you're putting a PCBA on a PCBA. So there's some cost involved there. But I think the cost, outweighs when you know that what you're going to get, and you're going to be able to get into the market as quickly as possible. Your comment about, some of these chipsets, as I said, we have to evaluate a ton of chips and technology all the time. And so, when you build up that module, you have that experience. But if you design it into just a PCBA, then you get a whole different viewpoint of how do you certify that PCBA. And Linkplay does design PCBAs. There's been form factors where our modules will not fit in, and we've had to go ahead and design PCBAs, and then we qualify that PCBA and use as much of our experience on the variety of whether it's Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, et cetera, et cetera.
And one more, if you don't mind. So one of your customers implements a Linkplay solution. What are they facing in terms of a ongoing cost? Do you have to rent a web server, or how does that work?
No, all of that is done through we have a Linkplay cloud. There's a one-time fee and then a yearly fee after that. We have a software and maintenance agreement with all of our customers, and whether we support their cloud service or ours, we just want to make sure that the OTA process on the features, the future features and diagnostic things get uploaded, as efficiently as possible.
Does that actually create an ongoing revenue stream for some of the brands that, like, you're going to add features next year? So, I mean, obviously the brand, they sell the product for one price, And how do they recoup that in the future? Is it an ongoing kind of license scheme, or how does
Yeah,
that work?
each company does it a little bit differently. But for us, it's not a huge revenue generator, but you do have to update, software and firmware all the time. It's a cost, it's the cost of doing business. I don't know of any customers, but I'm not that much on the brand side, whether they charge their customers extra for that capability.
Okay, interesting. All right, what's next?
So as I said, here's the voice assistant integration. Here's virtually a global portfolio of companies that have voice. So Linkplay supports all of these voice products, and depending upon where you are in the world. And I'll give you for instance, we've got several customers that have a product in the U.S., but then they want to launch it in China, and then they want to launch it in either Japan or Korea. So the technology that we have out of these modules can support that, whether it's a Baidu, or a Naver. It can be ported off of the same module that we have on the product that is manufactured for the U.S.
And then which one was the popular platform for Japan?
Clover and Naver.
Okay, all right. That's for Simon's
That's
benefit.
line, isn't it? Naval line.
Yeah,
Oh,
Naver
okay.
line.
That's okay. That's the connection. Cool. Okay, thanks.
And then the other is the content integration. If you look at most of these devices, and I'm a user, and I'm sure you guys are users as well. What do you listen most? What do you do most with your devices? Music. I mean, that's right. What people love to use these devices for. It's one of the primary features. And whether it's in a light, integrated light, or a switch or whatever, people want to have that immersion, if you will. And the services, there's a lot of them that are out there, and they're migrating to more and more higher resolution type services, HD radio and that type level, and so people are becoming more discerning on what they want to hear over these devices, and it can't come out of just the the little Amazon or Google devices. That's why companies like Sound United or Polk Audio, those types of companies, they build something that has a little bit more for the discerning ear.
No, I mean, audio is kind of the starting point. Does this see a transition into video streaming soon? Is that something on the horizon?
That's a very good question. Yes, we have done not quite a few, but a few products that integrate both, music and streaming and then video. Personally, I think that you're going to see more and more of that.
Right.
Where the challenge is really the price point. Especially in a lot of devices, there's a price point that's been set by either the large companies. What kind of value add do you need to bring that price point up? But I do think that video is definitely going to be something that's going to be a growth area. How much, it's going to really depend on what kind of market. If you look at some of the refrigerators that they've got out now with video, they're pretty amazing. You can do a lot with that, both voice and video.
Wow, that's the ultimate for the bachelor, is like a big screen on the front of his front of his beer fridge.
There you go.
All right, let's keep going.
So again, when you look at the product development process, we do a lot with reference designs. We have a lot of white goods products that we work with a lot of the ODMs. And what happens with these white goods products is people can get them into the market very quickly. And I'll give you for instance, there's a company called Intelibras out of Brazil. They were the first Portuguese Alexa device in the world. They came to us in May and was looking for a product, a white goods product. And they were able to pick out a couple of them from one of our ODMs, Junlan, and they had in Brazil in the inventory on shelves in October. So it was a very, very quick time frame. They went to China in May, and they were able to fulfill out of their distribution centers in October. So that was a very, very quick thing. And because we've done so many products, we've got checklists, and we understand, and we have, if you will, playbooks that we go through. And whether it's developing an app or whether it's developing a full product, we're able to support people with some of these modular type approach with the design and development.
Very cool. And speaking of like development resources, now Linkplay's in Newark in the Bay Area, but I know there's an office in Shenzhen, there's an office in Shanghai, there's an office in London. Where else can people find you if they want to search you out around the world?
We also, in China, we have in Nanjing and Xiamen are two of the newer offices.
Wow.
We've consolidated in Newark. We had an office in Los Angeles, and we consolidated everything back to the Newark office. So,
Okay.
And then, as you say, there's one in London, and then Parts Express is in Ohio, and they support us to a great degree. And then we have another distributor in Denmark.
Okay. Cool.
This slide just shows, kind of the either the turnkey solution, the advantages of working with us. As I say, from an experience perspective, we've got, lots of products in the market. Each one of them are different, but you use the building blocks of, what's out there, the new technologies that, we have to look at every single day, because we need to be that solutions provider. And so whether it's, either voice or some other technology, we need to make sure that we're on top of it. Because as I said before, we have to be agnostic and make sure that we understand, where people are going to. We work with a lot of the chip companies, obviously, and, we work closely with M-Logic, Qualcomm, Allwinner, to make sure we understand where their product path is leading.
Okay.
And then here you can just see some of the products. There's plugins, there's smoke detectors, mirrors, lights, car accessories. One of the most interesting devices to me is there's a company out of Israel that has a device in the lower left-hand corner. And what that does is it measures. You tell Alexa what is in the container, it measures it, you put it in the refrigerator, and then Alexa tells you when it's going to go bad. So if you put strawberries in and say, here's strawberries, it knows what day you put it in, and then, a month or two later, it's going to say, hey, Dave, your strawberries are going to go bad.
Yeah. That's amazing. Wow.
And then some of the kids things, if you've ever been over to Korea, Naver has these Minions products that are pretty cool.
Well, yeah, you can see like the kids have really gravitate towards little interactive toys. Even when I was young, was always the coolest thing. So I can imagine just, especially for the parents, talk to your toy for a couple hours. It's a good solution. And education-wise as well. I think they could add a lot of function for education through.
Yeah, I mean that is a huge area. The education market, especially with voice and, like you say, with kids. That's an area that we've talked with a number of toy producers, and there's products that will be coming out this Christmas that are targeted strictly at this younger children.
All right. Well, this slide here probably illustrates as to how long we've all been in the game, as I don't think there's too many factories on the list that I haven't been to personally. So.
Yeah, and you've probably seen everyone on this.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, obviously the ODM is extremely important. While we love the brand customers, it's really the ODM where they make things happen. We've all been into the factories, whether it's in Asia or Europe or the U.S., Mexico. That's really where, from a development perspective, you see things going from the engineering verification through the design into the production, and that's what drives all of us. Is to see these things employ the features that people want, and these companies are the ones that enable it and get it into the market. So we're very proud to work with all of them.
Great. Yeah, so this like anybody watching this, is some options. You can contact Steve directly, or you can reach out to one of your channel partners here in development to to hit them up for info on Linkplay. So yeah, answering my question here, where's the contact details here?
There it is. So I will make sure, Dave, that you've got this. Simon, I will send this presentation over to you so that you have it.
Yeah, so we can maybe post it on would this be, I guess it's public information, obviously, now that we've broadcast it, but
Yes,
we can post a link to this in the comments. And Simon, you got anything else to add before we wrap this up for the day?
I did have one little thing that I was curious about, and that's in terms of I'm not sure it's quite your area, but the vocabulary and how does it work in terms of dealing with multiple languages and kind of more complex statements?
That's an excellent question, because it is. I mean, if you look at all the different languages around the world, just the nuances, just look at in the U.S., from, if you go up to Massachusetts and the, New England area, down south to the Midwest, there are nuances. And there's companies that are out there that do that type of work where they articulate what people are talking, and it's a very in-depth process. I met with a company a couple years ago that got purchased by Sonos in that area, where they were just developing speech in the different regions in the world, and they had just a large number of people, and you have to go through the algorithms and update it and update it and update it, and there's just so much articulation. It is amazing. And
I was just thinking in terms of this. Let's say I got a kid's toy. It's one of those stories that you choose a path at each step. You might have 2 or 3 options, and you do that by voice. So there's the kids' story speakers that are coming out now, Tonys and so on, and they'll say, for example, would you like to go down the path on the left or the path on the right, or would you like to pick up the basket? And the kids have to answer, I'd like to pick up the basket, for example. Is that feasible to do that kind of a thing?
Oh, sure. I mean, it really is just in the development of the software and the firmware. And, it's going back to companies like Sensory and, working with them in terms of, enabling that type of articulation. And as I say, there's just a huge.
So you'd create a list of statements, and they get a number each, and you just have to determine which statement it is.
Yeah, correct. And, and that's where AI comes in. There's a lot of, learning in terms of what is going to happen with these articulations in people's speech, and then what do you do with it?
Right.
Fantastic.
Okay. Anything else to add, Steve, before we sign off for the day?
No, I do. Thank you guys very, very much. It's always great to see you and talk with you. It's products are fascinating, and it's been a great thing. For me personally, when I joined Linkplay, to be able to see some of these products go into areas that aren't necessarily the audio area, but when you look at it, everybody uses audio, and with voice, it's going to continue and continue.
Yeah, no. So I do remember the time when you were debating whether to join Linkplay, but I think definitely hindsight's 2020. But what a fantastic decision and a fantastic company. You guys are some exciting stuff. It's a fantastic presentation with us today. So thanks for that, and let's say goodbye to everybody, and thanks for watching. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Take
and
care.
if you like what we're doing, just please hit subscribe, of course, and there'll be some information more on Linkplay in the notes. So okay, thanks everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you.